Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second episode of Unmixed and Unmastered, and we have a returning guest, Jenny Website. And yeah, I
Hi, I'm back.
yeah, and we set this up, or we were supposed to do Squid, but then someone on Reddit wanted us to do Blueberry Boat, and then after we were
I feel
planning,
like it came up enough times during the last one that I feel like we kinda have
yeah,
to at this point.
yeah, and then after we were planning it, then someone messaged me for Cowards by Squid. So it's funny.
Oh, nice, nice. The new
But
one.
yeah, this one is my favorite Fiery Furnaces album, and it's kind of
Good pick.
it's a good one because I think we're gonna talk about like the other ones anyway. So I think
Yeah. This is definitely like, I feel like most people's starting point of just, like, the one that gets talked about the most, so I feel like it's a good starting place.
yeah, and tell us like how did you discover the Fiery Furnaces? I think we already
Sure,
hit on that, but
yeah, we mentioned it last episode. I think we both had the similar thing of just, like, it got recommended to us, like, because you like Deerhoof kind of thing.
mhm,
Um it took me a while to understand why. I picked up Blueberry Boat first from the CD store, and it took me several years of having it to like be able to wrap my mind around it as a just like what it was going for. I remember driving around like after spending the night at like my friend's college dorm at some point, and just driving around the town listening to the first track and just like really trying to be like, I want to see where they're going with this, but like there's so much, there's nowhere for me to grab onto. So I bounced off for a while, but um there's a lot happens in a Fiery Furnaces song, even the ones that aren't 10 minutes long.
mhm,
Um and even though it's pretty overwhelming on the first listen, there's so many tiny moments and hooks and melodies that will stick out and like latch onto you somewhere in your brain. And for me, it was after sitting with those for like a few more weeks or months, like I couldn't stop thinking about them. So I kept coming back until I had suddenly listened through their entire discography and, just couldn't get enough of that sweet
mhm.
furnace.
Yeah, and yeah, that's kind of like for me on like first listens, like it's definitely like a hard one to grasp. Like really, like Matthew's like instrumentation is like it's really hard to like listen to because it's so like for me it's really annoying, but in a good way. Like I feel like
Yeah, I mean that's definitely I think a fair description.
yeah, and yeah, that and I have the same like introduction like Deerhoof, and yeah, like yeah, it's I think for me like on like the second listen, honestly, it was really fast like for me and just like the ideas, just like the specific moments make it like so good. Like especially like Chief Inspector Blancheflower where he says like I went to a dad's bakery. Like that line always just like comes up in my head and yeah, like it's just all about those
Yeah.
details for me.
Yeah, yeah. They have all of these small bits of narrative that uh there's so much detail, but there's also a lot of important things left out. So it both gives you a lot to grab onto and feel the texture of the world that they're building, but also lots to explore with your imagination of like filling in the gaps of like, okay, well, how did he get here? What's the motivation here? Um and it's also like listening to 6 different songs, listening
Hmm.
through one Fiery Furnaces song, so it's very economical in that way.
Yeah, and like sort of like talking about like the gaps that it feels like this album is like really dense, but I feel like the meaning is like really like up to you, kind of like
Yeah,
because and this is like for like every song that like Matthew writes all of the songs, right? So
I
e-
think so. I think I mean, it depends on the record, but I do think Eleanor at least collaborates on lyrics,
yeah,
but, like, a lot of the instrumentation is Matt, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, the like the lyrics is just it's really hard to like say what they want out of the songs. So
Yeah.
um
I remember reading, like, a little bit of ad copy for a later record of theirs, I think it was Widow City,
Hmm.
where they described their process as just sort of, you know, opening themselves up and just like getting story suggestions from, a dream they had, or a random book from, the 1920s, or like some mysterious rumor of like the legend in like a city or something like that, and just like taking all of these different characters and ideas and just kind of like forming stories with them. With so much specificity, I think they pull a lot from like history and like
Hmm.
books and just like little things like that, and but then just kind of twist them and make them into their own little collage works.
Yeah, it's like it's really like in their head, like you know what I mean,
Yes,
like
very imaginative
yeah,
band. No,
like
I would say not a very grounded band
hmm
slash positive.
yeah. Okay, so for the uninitiated who do not know the fiery furnaces, so here you go. Um,
I love this picture of them.
yeah, this one's a good one. I don't know when it was uh taken, but I
Yeah,
just searched up
could have been
blueberry
anywhere in
boat
there.
photos, and then that's the first one.
It's probably around then.
Yeah, and so they started in 2000 with Eleanor moving to Brooklyn, New York. But I think after like a while, like in the Blown Speakers like interview like or podcast, they were talking about how like she needed like his brother to come with and like
Yeah, like
start the
something like she
band.
wanted to do music, but like felt more like, yeah, it felt like she needed to collaborate with Matt to like have like a real band or something like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting, like because I isn't there like other like there like members of the Fire Furnaces like that play live, I guess.
Yeah, they have like a 5 or 6 piece band when they do live. I think Eleanor usually just sings,
Hmm.
and Matt plays
Synthesizer and guitar
keyboards.
apparently.
Yeah. And sometimes guitar, and then a lot of times they've had 2 drummers just for fun,
Oh
and
yeah,
then, like,
no,
a
I
bass
saw
player.
that and they had a concert in 2021 and I saw that like they had
Oh,
two
did you go to
drums.
see him?
No,
Oh,
no,
that's
no, I
awesome.
just saw it on YouTube.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, I
fair.
live in in Canada, so it's hard to find.
Yeah, I live within driving distance of New York City, but it like, not convenient driving distance.
Hmm.
I literally could, but, uh, not worth it enough to drive out for every single thing. I bet it
Yeah,
was sick, though.
damn. Wait, that was in 2021, or
Um,
or you're talking
well,
about?
I mean,
Oh,
yeah, I haven't seen them either.
oh yeah, okay, okay. So yeah, and this is kind of their discography, and their first album is kind of like it didn't really set up Blueberry Boat in for like critics and
Yeah.
stuff. Like they,
Yeah.
it's really like,
It's slightly more conventional, like, instrumentation-wise.
and yeah, we can talk about like because I know in the podcast you sent me the Kitchfork or whatever, they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
talking like Eleanor like felt like she was like brainwashed by my Matthew, and
Yeah,
honestly like listening to
I
Blue,
forgot about that part when they were talking about it,
yeah,
like, I mean, Matthew Friedberger is a really weird dude,
yeah,
very eccentric music persona. Um, like, after they had this run of albums, once they, like, kinda took a break in, like, around 2010, they both started putting out solo records,
hmm
and you could kind of clearly tell once they started doing that, like, where each part of the band was coming from. Like, Eleanor's, solo records are a lot more straightforward, they have, like, song structures that you can recognize, and, just, like, kind of like a 70s, um not soft rock vibe, but just like a nice easygoing pop sensibility,
yeah,
um, and the hookiness. And Matthew's solo records are like
they're
abstract experimental
insane.
sound collage shit,
Yeah, like
and
in 2012 like he released like solos where like every and it's like a compilation of like albums where it's only one instrument. And like this week
right.
I listened to one and I'm like, okay. I gotta like
I
look.
actually
Go back.
I still haven't dove into his solo stuff. I know I'm going to find it insufferable at first, and then later I'm going to be obsessed with it because that
Yeah,
just seems to be my pattern with this kind of stuff. um, I respect his. I don't know. He's definitely responsible for some of the most annoying stuff in the Fiery Furnaces catalog, but also some of my favorite like weird choices.
yeah, and we're gonna talk about that because I actually like that it's quite annoying.
Yeah, more bands could stand to be annoying. You know,
Yeah.
you can take it.
Hmm. And like that goes into like the brainwashing thing for me because like when I listened to Blueberry Boat and then I listened to the first one, I kind of like hated the first one a little bit. I and then like now like I actually quite I love it as well. But I think it's just like the brainwashing of like you listen to like all these like weird like instrumentations for so like long that it kind of like it turns you into like someone that would hate the first album.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. You know, it's already enough of a journey just sitting through this whole record to listen to it once for the first time. You know,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's like to be working on it.
Hmm.
I mean, the album is like it's like an hour and 15 minutes, right?
True. Yeah.
Like it's really it's like it's a feature length experience.
Yeah.
um and if you can't orient yourself um by like the second or third track, then you're not going to have any a leg to stand on for like the whole experience. And like, yeah, you're just going to like start seeing blueberry boats and everything. I don't know,
Mm.
bad metaphor, but you get
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah. Is there anything to go with that? Yeah, like um yeah, and then
Yeah,
after oh
go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
Okay, and then after they released EP, which is it's technically an EP, but really it's an album because it's 41
It is
minutes.
45 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah, that
record.
one that one's my second favorite. Or yeah, it's my second favorite.
Yeah,
And
same.
then third is yeah.
There's I think it was like sort of a collection of a few singles they had put out, and then just a bunch of extra tracks also.
Mhm.
Um, and that one I think is like if you're a bit nervous, like if you're interested in this band but a bit nervous to just dive into the deep end right away,
Go for the
I'd say starting there is will give you a great um like feel for the kind of vibe without having like 8 to 10 minute songs to get lost in. Like if you just start there and like I feel like once you hear single again, you'll be hooked or you won't
yeah,
be.
or the
Great
better
track.
version of Tropical Iceland. I love
Was
that one.
obsessed with that song for
Tropical.
a whole year, a couple years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Fantastic track.
yeah, like and then they sort of like kind of go like really unhinged with like rehearsing my choir and bitter tea. Bitter tea is like probably
Yeah.
like the worst, like not or like probably the most like annoying one for
No,
me.
no, go ahead, say it. I can hear I can hear you starting to say it. It's the worst, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I love all of them, but bitter tea's kind of it's hard to listen to, like
Yeah,
especially
that
that
one
one.
definitely has the most silly noises going through it. Um,
And rehearsing my choir, I love that record, so I can like
that
handle it.
that that's my favorite one.
Yeah, that
I
one's
think it's
really
kind
good.
of rehearsing my choir was I mean, they like just completely changed up their whole, similar to Earhoof. This is a band that would just kind of change up their whole approach and like ethos every time they make a new record, and you can see they're making them every year. This band was nonstop. Um, EP and Rehearsing My Choir both got released in 2005.
Mhm, yeah.
But Rehearsing My Choir is like this whole conceptual kind of like stories based off of their grandmother's life, and she's in there narrating a lot of them, and there's like spoken word, and she's singing along with Eleanor, and it's like part radio drama, part documentary, part
Yeah.
classical album, and there's still hooks in there. I I think that is like the conceptual peak of this band. I feel like they went really far out with that one, and I think it was worth the experiment.
Yeah, I love that one. Just like the yeah, what you were saying. And the instrumentals are also like they're also like the background more so because like on the other albums it feels like
Yeah, they're kinda setting the scene,
yeah.
which is something that, like, yeah, this band kinda dabbles with in general, but, like, especially on that one, it's kind of rather than it being, like, a song with like the verse, chorus, verse, or whatever. They're tracking the story.
Hmm.
It's very radio play, like oh, we're talking about the officials that are coming through, and like, oh, the police are coming in, so you have like this sound that sounds sort of this horn that sounds kind of like a police siren that we're gonna be playing in the background, and talking about playing like an old upright piano in a church, so we found an old upright piano.
Hmm.
Anyway, that we're not talking about that record. I love it though.
Yeah,
If you're trying to get into this band and you do want to dive directly into the bottom of the deep end immediately, check out Rehearsing My Choir.
yeah,
Incredible stuff.
that's probably the best one. um.
Well,
Oh yeah, and also okay, and then just a fun fact. I think or it's right here. Franz Ferdinand made a song about Eleanor Friedberger, and
yeah, yeah.
Eleanor put your boots on. And I don't know anything about that, but yeah, I just thought it would
Yeah,
be interesting.
yeah, she was yeah, they're based in Brooklyn. Like it says here. Eleanor dated a few guys from other bands like during her time there, and she ended up becoming the subject of a couple songs. So there's that one, which was a single and everything. She also dated the guy from Spoon for a
Mm,
bit, Britt Daniel. Um and I think I can't remember which song, but there is a song off of their album Girls Can Tell by Spoon that is about Eleanor. Um and yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. She like was friends with a lot of people in that scene and like influenced them.
mm-hmm.
Um but also, I mean, yeah, you're gonna write a song about your ex. You know,
Yeah,
when you do
true.
that for a living, it's gonna come up.
I actually haven't listened to the song, so maybe I should
Yeah,
listen.
yeah, that sounds pretty good. The Eleanor Put Your Boots On is like a fun, upbeat one. It's kind of empowering or whatever. I think the Spoon song was a little bit more bitter, but
Hmm.
I can't remember which track it was, so could be talking out of my mouth here. I mean, wait, you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. So we, so this album was dedicated to their dad, and they sort of always like credit or like dedicate the Fiery Furnaces albums to their parents, and then like
Yeah, sweet.
and then for their solo stuff they kind of like, okay, this is for my sister or like my brother, for like, you know.
Right, dedicated to each other, which is also very cute.
Yeah, and that's
Interesting to hear like a musician. Well, this isn't that uncommon, but it's just like they have like a great relationship with their parents, apparently.
yeah.
Um, but I kind of see it as like, hey, you made us, and then we made this, so this wouldn't be possible without you. Thanks, parents.
Hmm. Yeah, and here, wait, where should we go with this? So yeah, like how would you describe them? And I'll answer it too.
Hmm. We sort of have been describing them, right? But Fiery
Hmm.
Furnaces is they're like a fantasy pop band. I don't know, I think bringing in like the radio drama element, a kind of important aspect of their thing, because they're storytellers, and Matthew is definitely a storyteller in the way that he composes and writes music as well.
Yeah, a lot of
It's just
motifs.
in a lot more abstract way. But these are songs that like are still like sing alongable and but like are more concerned with developing a plot and like a world, a feeling, rather than any kind of like direct message. I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're back. Okay, so before you lagged out, what were you saying? So I got the messaging part.
Right. This is just a band that has a little bit of everything,
Hmm.
and they're trying to create communicate, like I mentioned. It's more about the overall like world and feeling, even though there are lots of like specific details, it's the same thing. I would compare them to like the Mountain Goats, in that way. I don't know how familiar you are with them, but
Um.
like the singer for that band writes in very specific and like verbose detail, but it's still only like a few lines that kind of paint um a general feeling around the situation, and not a lot of like concrete like this happened and then this happened for this reason. So the detail it goes through in the music as well as the lyrics, like just paint an extremely vivid world for you to be in, but also gives you space to fill in the blanks
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's the core conceit. They're writing like Jackson Pollock pop songs, like a little bit of everything splashed in.
Yeah. For me, I would definitely say like the comparisons I make are like honestly like Tune Yards and like MIA. I feel like I
That's
just feel
real.
like especially for the art pop like experimentation, like I feel like both like the Fiery Furnaces and like the Tuners, I can tell like they kind of like listen to each other a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like a line of inspiration going.
And yeah, yeah, because like for me, like I would describe it like you say like the whole entire like the world building they make, right? Kind of.
Right. Yeah.
And but for me, honestly, like it's more about like the details. Like I'm more concentrated on the details. Like I just feel like we mentioned this like the guided by voices thing, right? The lyrics like and their like meaning for me, and I just think like they just say it like it's just so sweet like every single
Say it
time.
good.
Yeah, but yeah, um,
It,
hmm.
it, it it is strange. I guess I focused a lot on lyrics in my description, but like it's definitely the kind of thing that does not um like there's still a lot of lyrics to these songs I don't know because they're
Yeah,
very wordy.
because like when I feel like when if we like if I like really sat down and tried to like analyze like because that's what I was trying to do during the week, like trying to like figure out all the
Mhm.
meanings, like and it kind of made me go like
It's tough. They don't make it
insane.
easy.
Yeah, like I was like reading like 1917 is based on like the first time the White Sox won the first MLB. Yeah, like
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's always a story behind it, but it's always um they have a really like good way of twisting things and like giving you a perspective on it that you wouldn't necessarily be getting from most other accounts.
hmm. And yeah, like let me think. Yeah, I don't have much to say about that.
Do you have a favorite track on this record? As we see, it's yeah, it is long. What it's 80 no 75 minutes long. Okay,
76 minutes. It's longer than a lot of albums. Um, yeah, my favorite song, honestly. Okay, I already kind of like said this in the but I think really like Chief Inspector Blancheflower or Blueberry Boat.
that's the one for you. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel
Those are some of like the longest, like most story dense.
yeah, and I just it goes into so much like detail, like especially like I love like on Chief Inspector Blanchard like Matthew's like details, like he went to like he has like ADHD or something, and then he like talks about it, and then it sort of goes like really specific into like he joined the police force, which might be a an allusion to like the Beatles. She came in through the back door window or something.
Oh, really? I
Yeah, that's what
I
that's what I've
I hadn't heard this pitch yet.
yeah, we'll talk about
I'd
that.
believe it. Yeah, okay, yeah. I also am a big Blanchflower fan. I could talk about that one all day.
Hmm. And then Blueberry Boat sort of like I just like that one because it feels like the first like three songs they kind of like follow like the medley or like is it correct to say
Yes, yeah,
medley?
sort of.
Like
Yeah.
she
Yeah,
like
they all kind of flow into each other.
yeah, and I really like that one, like especially the last line where Eleanor says like you can cut my throat but you're never getting the cargo of my blueberry boat. And I just love
Iconic.
the way she says it. It's really nice.
So defiant. It's like you know what? I know exactly where I stand on this.
Hmm.
You can kill all of us. My
Yeah.
cargo is more important than the lives of me or my crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, all of these stories, like there's conflicts because that's what a story is, but like they all do seem to be like sort of like doomed or like kind of failed or like misinformation kind of stories. There's
Mhm.
not a lot of winning for a lot of these characters. And the title track Blueberry Boat is about a ship who's hauling blueberries to China, I think, that gets attacked by pirates and sunk to the bottom of the sea. Um,
Yeah.
Blancheflower is like kind of the misadventures of this police inspector um, that ends with him getting cucked by his brother, I guess, is the
Yeah.
is the implication.
I
Um,
yeah, like I think yeah, like Matthew like or like the one that he's like doing it from the perspective of someone that's like killing like his brother, I guess. And then Eleanor's the
we'll
detective,
circle
right?
back onto that. I know they talked about that on uh blown speakers, but I've got counter arguments.
Okay.
But so yeah,
Um
same to say, there's something for everybody in here. There's also some like pretty straight up like catchy bangers. I think Straight Street is
yeah.
a very like fun, like almost a straightforward song. You know, about as straightforward as you're gonna get
That's
with this
probably the
band.
most accessible one out of all of
Yeah,
them.
like right off from the top,
Or Chris
and it's
Michaels.
catchy. Chris Michaels is a banger. Just a rock and roll good time.
I like that one. Yeah, and I also have the critics here because I think it's really it's one of the most divisive like albums that
Yeah,
because like people like it's either like they really love it or they like really like hate it, and then there's some in the middle. But it's like mostly it's like hate or love.
yeah. Pitchfork was the one who gave it like a 9.6 when it first dropped, and that was a big like them being tastemakers thing, and it was like controversial at the time, and it like helped make their career, I guess. But every other like major outlet was just like this is too artsy fartsy and like too conceptual. No one's gonna care
Did
about this. I don't care about
did
this.
did they like the critics like did they like the later albums?
N- I honestly think at this point is when the mainstream, like, yeah, Village Voice, Guardian, Enemy, like, are just gonna stop caring about this band,
Hmm.
because they just like this was such a disappointment. They're just like, nah, not even touching it anymore. Meanwhile, Pitchfork and other like, indie outlets, uh, continued to review them because they did like it, and I think they got pretty good reviews. For the rest of them, pretty solid for the next couple ones. Like it's basically this is like the ride or die moment. You either get it and like are on board for just like whatever crazy thing they're gonna come up with next, or you're like, this is nothing like the lightly experimental folkish kind of they had on the first record, so I'm out. I'm gonna go back to listening to the White Stripes and I don't know, maybe later on Mumford and Sons.
Yeah, yeah, they, hmm, yeah, because like I feel like they definitely like the later albums were definitely like it was gonna be hard for the for like critics to like really like enjoy them.
Yeah, I could also be wrong about this. This is just kind of like the vibes I got, but I don't think Robert Christgau was interested in looking at rehearsing my choir
No,
after
probably not.
this one job. Just kind of like, no, no, this isn't, this ain't
I
it.
yeah. Oh,
But
um,
that's what I like about any music. Like like if you can get just big enough to like find the people who are looking for this stuff,
mhm.
they're gonna grab
They're
onto you
like yeah, because it
and
seems like
keep
the
going.
people that like just from other like people that I know that like this album, like they they kind of just like they really love it. Like it's and they could like they can talk about it like a lot
Yeah,
in
no,
great
yeah.
detail.
Not a lot of middling feelings about a Fiery Furnace
Yeah,
record.
because
Certainly not
it's
this
kind
one.
of hard to like be like in the middle when talking about these albums because it feels like it feels like a really like extreme like I don't know like in sound I guess that
Yeah,
like
they're
it's
so maximalist.
yeah.
Like they're trying to do a lot. They demand your attention and also that you sit and think about it and figure out how you feel about it. Not something you can listen to passively.
Hmm. Yeah, you want to go into the second track or like the track that we're gonna play?
Sure, yeah. Let's give them a taste.
So this one, so we did Kikur, and this is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first
First
one.
track on the record.
And this is
We're
kind of
kind of
like okay, like we're if you're gonna like if you hate this, then you're gonna have to wait a long time for the bangers later.
yeah. This is the litmus test. When you, I mean, this was the first. This was the one that I had trouble with when I first started the record. Like, it's just so long to go. Like meanders for so long. Anyway, it's like 10 minutes long. We're not gonna play the whole thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
this
We're gonna
section
play
in
a
the middle will
little
give you
part
a
of it.
vibe of like what the kinds of things that are happening on this record.
Yep. Wait, so how long do you want to go for on this?
uh, I'll signal you. Probably like 2 or 3 minutes
Okay.
at least. We'll see where it
And
goes.
hold on. Okay. Here, let me get a good volume from you. Okay.
The clouds dried and cracked, it was common in fact. The ship had been towed by Sea Dykes Road. So I sold the collabance and I let out a sob, a cry, oh no, it's disaster. The rains of Baymatic gas.
Great ropes, green fire, get us in. Slings step the stockade for dolphin. The gods we gave a grip and said, grease my duke. Down by the chimney and out through the fluke.
A Lubia lord and a loggerhead loads. Lungio lad begging me a proposal. Straight sail, top mast, asteroid perspective. Down this dry dock, erected, infected. Locked up with silk strings and taffeta tricked. With nails out of driftwood already I'm sicked. Now spy out the glass or whatever missteps me. In the press gang worn sign sword with Pepsi.
Of course it wasn't long till I caught the crew. Dawdling on the drizzy deck, my majesty sloop. If only the helmsman turned from his whip step with my azimuth compass, I'll go by the graph. Up to the wind of King Gilbert Sound, then back the hull when we come around. With 100 seals and 2 polar bears, nearly in the harbor without any cares. But then
A Lubia lord and a loggerhead loser. A Lungio laugh back made me a proposal. Straight sail, top mast, asteroid perspective. Down this dry dock, erected, infected. Mocked up with silk strings and taffeta tricked. With nails out of driftwood already iron sicked. Now spy out the glass or whatever missteps me. In the press gang worn sign sword with Pepsi.
You can kind of fade it out during this section.
Yeah.
So that was just like the middle few minutes of this 10-minute epic.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking like you're talking about like the maximal like sound that they bring. It's like kind of like totalism a little bit. Like or like kind of, right?
What do you mean by that? I'm
Like
curious about that word.
just like very like I guess like for like also like maximalist um like just like very like grand and like a lot of like dense things going on because like
Yeah, it's an operatic structure. Some of these songs where like there's kind of like these movements, and like this melody will get repeated for a while, and they'll go into like this new section, but then the old melody will come back in and play it in a new way.
mhm.
Um,
and
like that's just kind of how they make like a long song like that work. But I I'll admit I really also just wanted to play that middle section because I love Matt's guitar playing and just like
yeah,
his weird leads.
he
Uh,
I always thought Eleanor played the guitar.
Eleanor does play some guitar. And I think she does. I mean, this is why they're always credited so generically. I think the credits for this record are that Eleanor was credited with production and Matt is or performance, and then Matt is performance and production.
Yeah, and then
So
packaging.
I think they purposely keep it vague
Yeah.
because they just kind of like do a little bit of everything. Um,
Hmm.
but I also know that like Matt does a lot of like main tracks, and I know the any of like the really fast and crazy sounding leads, those are all Matt.
Maybe
Um,
Eleanor's the acoustic guitar.
I think so. Yeah, like I've heard them do a couple sessions where it's just the two of them, and like Eleanor's doing chords and Matt's doing crazy solos.
Yeah, because
Because it would also be really hard to do that at the same time as singing,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and sort of like okay, this song is like okay, the people describe it. I read on the internet that it relates to like prostitution in like a on a boat or something like.
Yeah,
And
I gotta pull up the lyrics again. This one's really dense.
here, you want me to pull it up?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that'd be cool. Probably not gonna be able to fit them all on one screen, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot that happens in this song. It starts with like, just like a girl who like has a special locket that was given to her. She lives by the docks, then like it immediately gets stolen from her, and now she feels really unsafe.
Hmm.
And then she stows away on a boat, and the boat gets into trouble. Um, but yeah, there's so much stuff in here, and there's so many weird words.
Yeah, I think it's
like archaic words.
I think some of the parts are like that are like not English or is like in Inuit.
Right. Yeah, there is like a whole section of the song that
And
is sung in Inuit, which is wild. But I'm talking even without that, like he's talking about um if only the helmsman would turn from his whipstaff with my azimuth compass, I'd go by the hectograph. Just getting onto this like really specific nautical terminology. Alluvia lord and a loggerhead lozel alungio lathback maybe a proposal. Like
yeah, it's
they're
kind of
huge fans of alliteration. These kids, they're like any opportunity they have to just like do a bunch of words with all the same first letter in a lyric, they're gonna go for it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't catch that. The alliteration parts. Okay, that's good.
Oh yeah, it's all over. Check out Sullivan's Social Slub on EP if you want more of that.
Social club. I don't remember that part. uh, yeah.
It is Sullivan's Social Slub. That is what they say every time. Like the whole they're making it
Oh
sound
yeah,
sillier
yeah,
with
yeah.
the
I
alliteration.
always thought it was
It's
club.
kind of insufferable, but I love it. Like
Yeah,
it
that
really
one's a
grew on
good
me.
one.
It reminds me of YouTube poops, is what it reminds me of.
Really.
And any band that any that reminds me of is gonna be a special place in my heart.
Yeah, and yeah, we can talk about like the medley right away because I feel like that's a really
Yeah.
important part. Like because it seems like what I got from like I feel like it connects where it's like kind of like a rise from the top. Like she was at the bottom and then now she's at the top, like leading the blueberry boat. Because
Yeah, it's kind of like building up your career from like that yeah.
yeah, like in like Kicker, I think what I got from it is they land in Alaska at the end maybe, and then like I guess like what's the second song? Straight Street, right?
Straight Street.
Yeah, where she kind of like interacts with like the town maybe, and then she later on becomes like this captain, goes to China, gets the blueberries, and then you know gets captured by pirates, kind of. Oh, oh no, we're losing her. Oh gosh.
In this journey in the first
Oh
song.
wait, you lagged out.
Oh, dang it.
Okay, wait.
Am I back? Am I good?
Yeah, you lagged out at the end of what I was saying, so just say it again.
Classic. I had never really put that together, but yeah, those first three are like a direct like cause and effect kind of chain. Like she starts out like sucked into this weird ship adventure and ends up in a strange place. Spends the whole second song trying to find, you know, um opportunities or like any kind of success anywhere, and it's just like, you know, uh s- can't do it. And then Blueberry Boat finally gets a break and has some success with the boat, and then that also ends in tragedy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
yeah.
but yeah, from there is kind of when they start doing the more individualized stories. But like all three of those, it does sort of feel like this whole like 25-minute chunk of right at the top of the record is like its own record.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good intro. Even though it's not connected, it's still like a really nice intro. I don't know how I would describe
Yeah,
that.
no, it really sets a scene very
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
Like if you can make it through that, then you're gonna be you'll enjoy pretty much anything else they try.
Hmm. And yeah, um, so like in the album, there's a lot of they also talk about influence figures. Like there's a lot of allusions to um like references in pop music. Like I just said, like the she came in through the back door window, and like Chief Inspector Blancheflower. I was talking about that, like the
Yeah. I would believe that. These definitely seem like, classic rock nerds that are gonna like
Mhm.
throw stuff in there when they can.
Yeah, and then well, I don't know because like there was this Amoeba Records like video where what's in my bag or whatever, and it's
Oh
just
yeah.
like really like classical like music and like jazz like stuff, kind of.
And I mean that makes sense. The thing to know about those what's in my bag for the uninitiated, Amoeba Records is a record store in California. They're big and famous. Whenever a celebrity or a band comes in to go shopping, they'll like give them like they'll be like, "Hey, fill this bag with whatever you want to get, and then we'll make a video of you showing it off."
Hmm.
Popular series, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Recommend it. The thing to know about that series though is that's just what they came. That's just what they came in looking for that day. You know,
Hmm.
maybe Matt's already got all the
Oh
Beatles
yeah,
records, so he doesn't
yeah.
need to buy a repressing. But he doesn't have what he doesn't have is this like very strange uh Herbie Hancock deep cut. I'm trying to think of a weird jazz artist. I'm not well versed in
Hmm.
jazz and classical.
Me neither.
It's a personal failing of mine. Um, but yeah, it's a snapshot of what they're looking for like on that day. Uh, but like I think it doesn't necessarily account for like the whole
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of the
Okay,
music taste.
when I said that, like I kind of realized like my mistake. Yeah.
I kind of want to just talk about what's in my bag for a
Mm,
second. That's an
mm,
interesting show.
yeah, I really like that one. Introduced me to a lot of interesting stuff, like
Oh yeah.
swans. I mean, I never
Oh
heard of.
yeah.
Yeah,
Swans is crazy. I'm still kind of circling those guys. I still don't really know where to land.
swans is I want to do an episode on that one, but it's gonna be really hard to talk about because I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
well
yeah.
versed
You
in
got to
the.
find an expert for that one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of swans to know about.
Well, yeah, but well, apparently there's a lot of swans experts so around the internet.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I'm sure they won't be hard
Hmm.
to find.
Anyways, yeah, like so we were talking about like illusions, like also the Velvet Underground, like kind of like the guitar playing, like it reminds me a lot of the Velvet Underground and Nico, like the guitars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That record. That's a great point that I also hadn't considered, but that is definitely like the kind of like that's like the tone. I think at the very least, that's definitely like what he's trying to get his guitar to sound like.
Yeah,
Is that like twangy kind of late '60s?
yeah, especially like the solos on that on the Velvet Underground and Nico. I can't think of
Yeah,
the one I'm talking about, but there's one that I that is really similar to the one on Straight Street, or no, in Keeker. There's one in Keeker, yeah.
mhm.
Um, yeah. Do you have anything like to say about that? The illusions.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I actually do think it's interesting because it does sort of place them. I mean, they're a rock band, so they're going to be in conversation with the Beatles and the Velvet Underground as just like kind of foundational acts. but it does sort of like it does seem to be like more intentional, and it does place them in this conversation with this kind of 60s revival thing that was going on in like the 90s and 2000s, uh where like everyone was really into 60s psych rock and was doing kind of like a retro inspired, like everybody like from Neutral Milk Hotel and like
Yeah.
Elf Power and those bands, Elephant Six bands, um to like the Dandy Warhols or something, where like they're a little bit more pop oriented, but they're doing this like kind of go garage rock kind of thing. And since that was like kind of like that revival had already happened, and now we're doing like a simplistic garage rock thing that's happening in New York specifically, with like the Strokes
Hmm.
and I don't know, LCD
Yeah.
Sound System
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like is a progression of it, but like they are in that scene. I mean, they're literally in New York, um, and like it does. It's interesting to like think about this music in context as like an expansion of the ideas that '60s psych rock was talking about. You know,
Yeah.
it's still very psychedelic, just in a very different approach.
Yeah, I think that it's like interesting, like because where they grew up in Chicago, kind of like how in the 2090s, like what was happening in Chicago was like more like post rock, like jazz, emo, like all that other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Right.
it feels like I don't know, like yeah, they it never feels like they ever interacted with that like part. They because I even though their like roots are like really intertwined with Chicago. Yeah,
I mean, maybe they had to go to New York to find the people who were interested in what they were into,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like I could see them becoming friends with like Tortoise if they had
Oh
stayed
well, yeah.
in
Actually, this is
Chicago.
the one CD I brought upstairs. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Like there's definitely some overlap there conceptually, but I couldn't see them getting on with like the Smashing Pumpkins.
yeah. Joan of
Uh,
Arc.
ma- Maybe Wilco. Well, okay, wait. No, now that you say it, that period of Wilco was when they were doing their weird stuff. They were doing Ghost is Born and Yankee Hotel, and Joan of Arc was there too. They could have found a scene in Chicago.
Yeah,
Oh well.
yeah. Storm and Stress too. On yeah, I. But I thought that was just interesting to say where they came from.
Yeah,
What else?
it's definitely in their blood. They reference it a lot.
So what we kind of like painted like Matthew as like kind of like like insane guy, like kind of,
Just
and
a little bit of an insane guy, and that's fine, you know.
yeah, and I just want to like kind of talk about like his like instrumentation, like it. He's very like like I don't know if we have we been talking about the instrumentation a lot.
Not specifically.
Yeah, not specific. Okay, good. Because yeah, like he kind of like the way he like makes stuff like instrumentals, like it's very like attention grabbing
Mhm.
and like and very like annoying, like I said already. And
Yeah, you got to pay attention. Like it's not something you can kind of just like let fade into the background.
yeah, even though like you say that, it's still I still drift like ambient music still. I don't know.
That's fair. I,
'Cause
I mean, it's literally possible to have any music on in the background and let your mind wander. That's kind of what it's there for.
mhm.
Um, but like, I definitely think it's these songs have moments where if you did just have it playing, and maybe you're talking with someone, um, there will be moments where you'll be like surprised and be like, and you'll both like stop and be like, "Whoa, what was that?" And then you kind of have to like think about the song for a second, like, "Oh." Is how I tend to interact with it. I mean,
Yeah,
usually I'm just listening to by myself on headphones, but
yeah, the way I listen to
that's what I feel
this
like.
album a lot is like doing like work, like cleaning like my house, stuff like that. Like
It's got a
um
good momentum to it. Like you can keep going at stuff like that for a long time.
yeah, and I used to like help my mom or like well I still do. I help my mom like clean like this like Chevrolet details place
Oh, nice.
and I put this record on and then like I drift in or like I drift like to it like just like sweeping the floors. until I go upstairs, right? And then the song Chief Inspector Blancheflower plays, and then when I'm upstairs, and then he says like I went to a dad's bakery, and then
Hmm.
that part that and then I just like okay this isn't like I love this like
Yeah, you gotta stop. Gotta
yeah like I gotta
focus.
stop what I'm doing and then listen to the whole song. Yeah, sort of like those like details that like really like like latch onto
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you're suddenly pulled into the story like, oh, I can't do something else right now. I want to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's always like yeah for me that's how I always like listen to it. I have listened to it like sitting down, but it feels like I'm just like looking like down and just like I don't know, just like ambiently drifting.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the way it's put together is, yeah, there's not a lot of concrete things to hold on to, especially in the instrumentation. Yeah, Matt's style is very jazz and classical influenced, not just like Beatles garage rock. Like he does those fun guitar solos and everything, but his primary instrument is definitely the keyboard, like a
Yeah.
piano or synthesizer or what have you. And he loves like doing as many layers of that as possible.
Hmm.
Uh, and like just like using slightly different sounds to announce slightly different sections of the song. And it's amazing like how many patches he'll go through on the
Hmm.
synth in just the span of like a minute.
Yeah, to talk about
I
like
I, re-
the
I, re- I
yeah wait say it sorry.
I really like it. It's impressive.
Yeah.
I still get option paralysis anytime that I like turn on a synthesizer. It's very intimidating. So I really
Hmm.
respect his power for
Yeah,
that.
and sort of like the tones of the synthesizer. There's also like a lot of like other stuff. Like there's like okay when I there's like a period in my life where I was listening to that Blown Spears podcast to fall asleep to every single night. I don't know why, but I just like like them talking about it, and I just
Yeah. I mean, podcasts are nice for that, especially when you're not like doing like an overblown reaction kind
yeah
of podcast. Like,
yeah and
yeah, just talking about stuff for a bit.
hmm and
That's what
if
we
I
gotta do.
don't fall asleep in the time where they play Blueberry Boat, because there's this part in Blueberry Boat, this intro, where like
Right.
where like there's synthesizers, but there's also this like high frequency like tone, and
Mm.
it's so annoying. Like like I have to like if I don't fall
You
asleep,
got to get out before then, or else you're gonna be
yeah,
awake all night.
yeah, exactly, and it's just so like interesting to me, like they really try to like make you like pay attention. It's like a teacher like slapping your hands or like your
Hey,
wrists.
hey.
Yeah.
They're like, how dare you think about something else? I've got stuff to say still.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to Alaska yet.
Mm. Yeah.
It is kind of like there's some little stinker energy with a lot of these instrumentals. Um, he'll have like several different sounds going on and like doing the melody of a certain point, but then also just pick like one of the yeah, most grating like synthesizer tones to just like also double it.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just kind of like a challenge. Like, are you still enjoying this?
Yeah.
Can you still hang
Like
on?
they really want to like question your like your
He's
love.
like, are you really invested?
Yeah, do you really love this album? Which I do, so I don't
Right,
mind
yeah,
it.
yeah. So you're gonna sit there.
Yeah.
It's like when my cat will get like really want some attention and want to play, and then I'll finally give in and shake a toy at him for a little bit. But then he'll just stand there for like 5 full minutes, just be like, "Are you sure you're not gonna get up and walk away again?
Yeah.
Are you here for me? Then good, we may play."
Yeah.
That's kind of the fiery furnaces like deal. That's what you have. That's what you're offered. You gotta take it or leave it.
Hmm. Yeah. Um. Yeah, and okay, we're gonna just go into Matthew more in this.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Interesting
does
character.
so Matthew, a lot of people don't like his vocals. Like it's really like another divisive thing. I personally like love it, but do you think Matthew sings enough on this album?
I think he sings kind of the perfect amount on this album, especially. He definitely fades into the background a bit more on the later ones. Yeah, which I don't think is a good or a bad thing. I think it's just like Eleanor's really got her thing going and it really works. So I think he just kind of lets her take center stage most of the time. And also because he's doing so much of the like instrumental composing and things like that, he's just I think he doesn't want to like step on too many toes or whatever, is the vibe I always got. But I think on this particular record, I mean, we heard in a bit of the clip from Kikar, he'll sometimes just sing a whole section or a whole verse, and then Eleanor will come in and sing with him, and they'll like switch back and forth depending on the characters. And I think it's really clever that the way that they work with that. I think having two singers in a band is really cool, especially when they both have their own kind of styles, but then like there's a third style of the two of you singing together and playing off of each other. Um, they're obviously similar enough that they can, it's not too jarring throwing back and forth, but you end up getting a bit like it seems like more of a dialogue, and it seems like you're getting multiple perspectives on a story. Uh,
Hmm.
even if like you're literally not, and they're just like, I'm gonna sing this part now. It feels uh it feels more full and like more nuanced, I guess. They're also just making up for the fact that it's just the two of them in the band, so it's not like you
Hmm.
can imagine like who else is playing in the background. It's just like we're gonna use the two of us in our banter and dynamic
Yeah,
as much as we can.
like maybe Matthew like fills the gaps where Eleanor is not like saying like
Right.
going.
Or like needs to take a breath or something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I kind of like Matthew's like vocals. Like I like his like especially like on Chief Inspector Blancheflower where it feels like he's like an internal like monologue. Like he's talking to himself, kind of.
Yeah. I honestly think the real like how it's determined what parts Matt sings kind of comes down to if he writes a lyric uh or a section that is like too weird or confusing for
Yeah.
Eleanor, and she's like, I'm not singing this. I don't even get what you're trying to go do
So
here.
just
Then
yeah,
he'll
you
come
sing
in and be
it.
like, oh well, this is what I was trying to do. That whole section from from Keeker, the where'd it go? Oh, this is straight street. Whatever. Um like the weird alliterative part in the middle there that like is like a tongue twister. I bet he was like, I bet she was Eleanor was just like, yeah, you can handle that one.
Hmm. Like straight like isn't it where like he says like chief like or something like
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
and Chris Michaels, he does have the
Oh, I always get those two songs mixed
bloom
up.
bloom bling bling bloom cheap cheap beep beep beep, which is probably one of my favorite moments on the whole record.
Yeah, that's a good
It
one.
hits somehow. I love nonsense words, especially ones that aren't just la la do do na na, because there's so many.
So many good ones.
You can like you can make up any word you want there. Like don't just do la la la. Give me an occasional diddy bob shalang lang.
Yeah, something like
It's
different.
it's under it's underused.
Yeah, people definitely like they don't use the amount of like creative ways you can like form
Scat
and stuff.
singing is fun. Yoko Ono was great. Ponytail is great. You
Oh,
don't
I
have to
love
have
Ponytail.
words.
Yeah.
Ponytail is one of my favorites. Well, yeah, I could go off, but like if you're a fan of the silly words and like kind of just expression kind of bands, check out Ponytail.
Ponytails, yeah, I love them, but the love is very like it's very
Are you
thin.
saying it's conditional? How could you?
Yeah, because I haven't like I need to dive into to them more, but the love is there. So for me,
Yeah. I mean, if you've heard them once, you know what the vibe is. So like, if you're feeling it, there's nothing else that will scratch that itch in the same way.
hmm
Anyway,
yeah.
do you think this album feels current or modern?
Ooh, hmm. That's a good question because it
It is. You wrote it. It's a good
yeah
question.
yeah
Turning it on you.
like hmm for me I don't know because like it feels like we're gonna talk about this like it's kind of like pre hyper pop a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like those two go hand in hand. Like on Blown Speakers, they made a comparison
Yeah, a little
to modern
comparison. Yeah,
hyperpop. I thought it was a little silly at first, but thinking about it more, it kind of convinced me. I'm curious what your take on it is.
yeah, and for like the I because like I feel like the synthesizer like things, I feel like it's not like a very like, I think people have been doing it for a while, like the like experiments in like the 60s, like synthesizer, like electronic music, stuff like that.
Yeah, as soon as like as soon as they figured out you could use a computer to synthesize the sound, people are going all into that. Like,
Hmm. So I don't know if it's like very current. I feel like it's very of its time still.
I think the same thing. I agree with you. Is the short version. Um, there's definitely a lot of forward-looking things here, right? Like
Hmm.
not being so beholden to song structure,
Yeah.
or like this has to be something that we can replicate live. Um, the Beatles were doing that in the '60s, but
Hmm.
um, even in indie music scenes, it's all about like, okay, well, what can we, uh, we're gonna have an interesting sounding record, but then we are going to have to worry about like the four of us being able to make these sounds when we play a concert. Um, Fiery Furnaces went in the opposite direction and just like basically rearranged all of their songs when they went to play them live, which I
Yeah,
think is
it's
very
very
cool.
different live. Like,
Yeah, they have two live albums out now. One from 2008, or nine, I think, and
it's
then one from last year, which is like an in studio live thing, which I'm a big fan of.
it's stuck in my head,
Uh,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, that
and
one
it and
I didn't realize that it existed. So I need to
yeah,
listen to
yeah,
that
it's,
one.
it's Bandcamp only. Highly recommend it. A lot of like cool takes on older songs. And they play one of the new ones too. Uh, but I'm getting off track. Where was I? This album is just kind of doing its own thing and like not limiting itself in any way, any direction of like how the songs are recorded, right? Like
Hmm.
it's like, oh well, we can't have a part where we switch directly from a bunch of synthesizers to guitar because I would have to pick it up and like switch over on the stage. No, like we're not even worried about that. Just like what can we do in this moment? And the answer is everything, anything we want. And that I think is what makes the Fiery Furnaces like hyperpop. I'm not saying that like hyperpop artists of today are like studying fiery furnaces and being like,
No,
oh yes, yes, this is
definitely
exactly.
not.
I think it's an ethos that was that like just got popular enough in the DIY music sphere. Bands like Deerhoof also um do this really well of just like not feeling limited to like genres or like form in a particular way and just being like I'm gonna make it. I'm going to take influences from everywhere, anywhere that I enjoy music, and it's clear that like there's lots of different places that these two are pulling from in order to make something that sounds like this. Uh, and I think it's comparable to the whole "I listen to everything" ethos of a lot of musicians nowadays. Of like, yeah, literally anything can be an inspiration, can be like something that you can incorporate. Uh, so hyperpop, doing 100 gex doing ska songs and new metal songs and dubstep and saying like these are okay and valid and actually awesome feels similar to me as like Matthew saying that um this obscure Belgian cellist this solo record is extremely influential to me, and I'm gonna write a bridge based around that or whatever. Like it's just taking whatever you want and just going deep on it and
Yeah,
not caring what other people are gonna think about it.
yeah, like hyper, like yeah, because I see what you mean. Like there is like a lot of like allusions in hyperpop to like things like that, like ska, like metal, kind of you were saying, and also kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, they're just reclaiming all the stuff that was considered cringe at the time.
yeah, and making it, yeah, I hmm,
They're just celebrating it.
hmm.
It's all fun. It's all open and valid for use.
Yeah, I think the like for me like the fire furnace is definitely like for like the like my musical interests, like there was definitely some like gaps that I didn't like have, and I feel like the fiery furnaces like filled them in for me. Like I probably
Mhm.
wouldn't like understand like Death Grips or like MIA's Maya, And
Love Maya.
yeah, that one's a good one. I want to talk about that one also.
Yeah, no, that is worth talking about. I gotta spend some more time on with it, but yeah, that has been something that's really helpful too. Like Deerhoof has been a great jumping off band for that for me,
Yeah.
because there's so many bands that are like either recommended for or like literally associated with that band that you kind of start to piece together. I'm into a lot of experimental bands. Almost every time I hear them for the first time, I don't like them. And I'm like, this is weird and confusing. I don't even know where to place this contextually. Uh, like I can't even engage with this. And then weeks later, there'll just be something in my head that got stuck in there, and I'll go back to them. Um, and they always sound so out of left field and like, oh, there's nothing else like this. So
And
original.
then
How did
there's
they come
other
up with this?
things that, yeah,
There's always something they're ripping off. The only thing that makes a band sound like unique and like crazy is just that they're inspired by something that you don't know about. Like the band Palm, one of my favorites ever. Like they made no sense to me whatsoever until I heard an album by This Heat,
yeah.
which is an
Oh, yeah.
experimental band from late '70s, early '80s that just have very similar sensibilities. There's always an answer out there. You just might not know about it yet. So that's the only reason that stuff can come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Nothing literally does.
I feel like there's like a lot of like albums like that where it helps you like understand other things, like sort of like you were saying, like I guess like Explosions in the Sky for, and then Godspeed You Black Emperor. Like Explosions in the Sky is kind of like the setup for that. Like
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like if you want to get post rock, start with God. Oh no, I forgot the name of it. The Explosions in the Sky. Probably any Explosions in the Sky record, but
they all
specifically, The
sound
World
the
is Not a
same.
Cold Dead
So
Place. The World is Not a Cold Dead Place is the one I was thinking of.
mhm.
And then you'll understand what you know the goals of the genre is and like what they're going for. Uh, but if you try to start with Godspeed, like it is a dark and desolate place that they lead
Mhm.
you into, right? And if you don't already know what to expect, you can kind of feel like left out in the cold and like kind of scared. Um, I'm speaking from experience here. This was my experience with
Yeah.
Godspeed
No, Godspeed
early
is
on.
scary. Yeah.
Great band, really respect them, but I don't know. I got mixed feelings about post rock. But yeah, there's always going to be an in route. And albums like this that are so wide reaching, uh, that it can start filling in gaps. Like those are always just like
The
so like essential and helpful if you're looking to dig deep into stuff like this.
mhm. Yeah, damn, that was a really good one to talk about. I really like that.
I I feel strongly about this stuff. I think you nailed it with your approach here.
Thank you. Okay, so there, I have like a lot of little, or like not a lot of topics compared to the first episode we did, but maybe we can talk about.
Is there another slide?
No, there's not another slide. Well, there is, but it's another song.
Oh, sure.
Um, let me think. Well, we can. Yeah, there's like kind of a lot of these like tie into each other, right? Oh shoot, what's going on? Okay.
Oh, is there a video for this one? I never seen this. Oh,
No,
I'm excited
it's
about
like
that.
it's like a homemade video. I just
Oh, cute. That's even better.
yeah. Um, hmm.
But yeah, anything you want to hit before we go on to that one?
Ooh, favorite lyrics?
On this record in particular, let me think. You know what? Let's take a minute. Let's talk about Blancheflower. Let's talk about Chief
Oh
Inspector
yeah, I forgot
Blancheflower.
about that. Yeah.
Because yeah, that is a big song for I think both of us. Right in the middle. It's a classic like long story song of theirs. It's got three separate parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've heard a lot of interpretations of this track.
Yep.
Um, in fact, maybe you should go first because I feel like mine is probably going to be pretty different from yours.
Okay, so I think the first part it kind of like describes like his inability to like function maybe like in places, and then that kind of like ties into like when like his brother like is like cheating on his like wife or something, like ex-wife maybe, I don't know, something like that along those lines. And
Sure,
his
yeah.
like
There's family tensions.
yeah, like his inability to like interact with the situation kind of leads him to killing someone maybe. That's kind of what it like leads on maybe a little bit. And then Eleanor's kind of like there to like kind of like as like a detective picking up the pieces in this whole weird story.
Now, what I would like to know is what gives you and other people I have heard the impression that Blancheflower kills his brother or his ex or both of them.
Ooh, okay, wait. Can I look at the lyrics? Is that not or is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
should
yeah. No,
uh
no, no. I'm not testing you.
yeah.
Um,
Sorry. Okay.
yeah. So the way I see it, there's three parts. There's the first part where I personally do not think any of these lyrics are about Matt himself or Eleanor. Like I feel like they pretty much exclusively do
Oh my
like story
gosh.
songs. Um, so I do not think this is Matt talking about his specific struggles with learning disability as a child. He might have some experience with that. I don't know. But basically, this
Okay, wait.
character I think
So
is who we're
so
following.
kind of okay. When what I mean by like there might be like a killing of some sort. I feel like this like line I think kind of like makes it a little like dark in a way. Like
I see. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Uh,
and it's like yet again like it's like an interpretation, right? But for me like when I hear that line that like it kind of is like okay, whoa. Like what is that like supposed to
right,
mean?
right. It's like, why isn't your wife driving her new car?
Hmm.
Um, that's fair. There's violent stuff that happens in this song. So yeah, this first part is about this character just just struggling with his learning disabilities early on in life
Hmm.
and with school not knowing how to handle him. He wanted to be a typewriter mender when he grew up, but he didn't get enough good grades.
Hmm.
He uh, didn't meet up to the standards of the people who were saying like, oh, you'll never be able to do that kind of thing because you're just having too much trouble. He even get like at the very end of that section, he's even looking out the window at like construction workers, and just like working men like that. And he's like, wow, I'll never even be good enough to have a job like that. He really gained down on himself because he's been told over and over um, that like he's just not good enough, and like none of these things will be something that he can like reasonably do. I I really, as someone who grew up with like similar things being told to me in school and like a lot of friends who went through similar stuff, like that
Hmm.
part really hits home for me
Yeah.
of just like having these like big dreams and but like the tension of people in general in cultures telling you you can be anything you want, you can do anything you want to do if you work hard enough, but then he's working his hardest, but is still getting shot down by all the
Yeah.
adults in his life. And he's like, "Wow, I'm nothing. Like nothing I ever do will be good enough." Um, and what I think is the funniest moment on the album, he's like, "I'll never be able to do anything cool like mend typewriters or work in the construction or fix roads. I'm worthless. There's nothing. There's no job that I'm good enough for."
So then he joins
So
the
I joined the
police.
police
Yeah.
force.
Hmm.
I think that's a really great jab, and I think it's totally overlooked. Um, And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's just like that's his backstory. And then we've got this section in the middle that is about a murder case where he's like in some small town and like this farmer is like walking around suspiciously and like talking about, oh, maybe he murdered his son, his wife, his whole family, and he has to kind of deal with that, just like typical detective story, intrigue and mystery, uh, that you would expect from Fire Furnace song. Just like some crazy stuff happens. Then the third part is unrelated. Like, oh, that's my day job, so that's what I deal with at work. But then, oh, if I'm finally off of work, I'm just gonna go hang out with my brother. And
Yeah.
they're hanging out, and his brother seems nervous, like he doesn't. He's nervous about bringing something up, and so Blancheflower confronts him as being like, hey, don't be nervous, man. You can tell me anything you want, as long as you didn't start seeing my ex. And then he's like, I started seeing your ex, which immediately makes him mad. Unclear whether or not they're married or like or were. I think they were. I think they were just dating or something, maybe divorced. But
Mhm.
point is, Blancheflower sees this as a betrayal. Because maybe they got divorced and Blancheflower didn't want to. It was something that Jenny wanted to do, and he's still salty about it, and he's still telling himself that they're going to get back together. But then all of a sudden, his brother, his closest friend, is betraying him
Mhm.
by going to see him instead, and he's furious. Like, how could you do this? And so he like immediately wants to go talk to Jenny, and like next day like goes to where she works, and is just like, hey, we need to talk about this. And she's like, she doesn't want to deal with him, so she's like, come with my smoke break. And then they argue about like, oh, you're doing this to mess with my head. And she's like, what? Why would I do that? Is the implication to me? Uh, but like Blancheflower is paranoid and is just really upset about that happening. And I think that's the end of it. I mean, if we look at the
Ooh.
lyrics here, it's literally
Okay.
like like uh oh yeah, I know what you're trying to do. What would that be? Trying to mess with my brother's head just as revenge for me. You're obsessed with me still. But like but then it just cuts straight to like I drove in my car and went to the bar. I
Mhm.
don't think anything happened. I think he
Yeah,
literally just like had this argument and then was like, ugh, this sucks. She doesn't believe me and like my brother's betraying me. Ugh, I'm just gonna go drink at the bar because I'm so upset and so I think he has a wife, not Jenny, just someone unrelated. She has a new car, but like maybe he doesn't. So he borrowed the car so he could drive out to see his buddy at the bar. I think
yeah.
that's all that is. And I
Yeah.
honestly really like how taken as a whole, it just paints this portrait of just like kind of a pathetic guy. Um, with an honestly like um true and relatable backstory of just like not getting what was promised to you in your youth and not getting the opportunities that were said were going to be given to you, and like, okay, well, I'm gonna just fall into the place where they'll take anybody, which is the police force, and
Mhm.
just do weird cop shit all day. And then he has this really tragic and petty home life that he's still not satisfied with either. Uh, so it takes that archetype of like, oh, like British detective, like episodic mysteries. Oh, what fun! What a aspirational hobby. But then paints this like really drab and kind of sad picture of like
Mhm.
the actual life that person has outside of the show, right?
Oh, I think. Oh, okay. Because for
That,
wait,
that- that's my take.
yeah,
I've never had the chance to like lay that out for anybody. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
want
No, I appreciate that,
that,
but I just want
that's
to,
what I think.
and I just want to ask, like, okay, so you think when Eleanor sings, do you think she's a detective or is she Jenny? Or I sort of
I think it's still Blancheflower, or maybe just like a narrator describing the
mm,
scenario. Let me look at the lyrics of that section again. Um, no, I think it's still Blancheflower. I think it's just Eleanor singing the middle section as like a change of pace. You know,
interesting. Yeah.
um, and like because yeah, it's like it's him on the job. Like 14th of May, the publisher dropped me a line, and he was talking about the farmer, and I was writing in my notebook. I got on my coat, stuff like that. I think um, that all of this is just like day in the life kind of thing, and then like we don't even really get to see the ending of it. It's possible that they kind of pull us out of that story at the climax when the farmer jumps through the window with his sword, mumbles out of breath, "Forgive me, my lord," and then after that rustic imposition, I took a deposition. I took a break. You know, it's like and then that ended. Anyway, later I went to go visit my brother.
Mm.
It's like I'm describing the on the day job to you, but whatever. I don't care about that. Let me tell you about the real stuff. My brother is betraying me. You know,
Yeah.
this. this kind of like talking with this person who's like got priorities in very different places than you might. Um, I think it's a really interesting character study. I think this is one of their better songs.
Yeah, it's because I think I agree with what you're saying. I think it's just that we don't agree on the whether or not like he kills someone. But that
Sure. There's an implication to be had there. I mean, like if he's seeing this like grisly stuff at work every day, it's probably some of it's probably gonna get to him a little bit.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe he does just steal his wife's new car after murdering her.
Yeah, and and that just like goes to show like the fiery furnace is like just like let you like make up an interpretation, and we can like argue about it on here,
I
right?
mean,
So
how did the farmer story end? Did he kill more people? Did they get him? Is he in jail now?
we'll
Like
never know, right?
yeah, they leave enough big plot points open that we're able to have this whole conversation about like interpretations of it. Like even though it's like very story like, detail oriented, it's still poetic in like the open endedness and like the flowery language and just like I don't know. I think it's an interesting combination.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, that was good of you for reminding me about that, because
Hey, no problem.
yeah. And yeah, I think we kind of touched on a lot of this stuff. Do you want to talk about maybe Spanulated a little bit?
Right. That is another track that has some notoriety. Um, I feel strongly that this is one of Fiery Furnace's classic punchline songs, where it's it is this like very specific story with all of this like dour dire things happening, but it does just kind of lead up to a bit of a joke, which I really appreciate. I love a joke song that's taken seriously. Um, but yeah, of this girl who's just living by her own in the city, but then one day gets kidnapped by a man who like keeps her in his basement and like forces her to take pills and stuff and just like forces her to do and pray to a specific religion that she may or may not share, and like she literally just had this like nice normal life, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm like trapped and like I can only do this stuff, and like I'm like takes her. It seems like he takes her to Spain, and this all culminates to this big and like anthemic chorus of the pain in Spain
It falls
falls
mainly
mainly
on
on
me.
me.
Yeah, and that's an
Which is
allusion to a different song, right? Yeah.
right, yeah. It's just like the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plane as being like a little like actor's warm up, or like
Yeah.
I think there is another song about it's like a musical or something. Um, but like I do think that whole song is just an elaborate setup for that like joke, which I think is great.
Yeah, that's an interesting interpretation, because I always saw that one as a dark one, and we talked about that
Oh,
one.
it definitely is, but I think it's like they're going for a darkly comic thing, where like we have
Okay.
all this like extremely. I think that's what amplifies it to me. Is like we're gonna make the story itself as like dark and uncomfortable as possible,
And then
so
at
that
the
when you get
end,
the punchline, it hits even harder. Like what that whole thing you made this character suffer. You made me feel for them so hard, and it's all just a pun.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of that's a really funny one.
I like it when people do that. I'm all about that shit.
Yeah, and that one I never really got until like a couple more listens. I always thought that one was
Yeah.
just like until learning that about that illusion. Yeah, I didn't really understand that one. So
Yeah, that's the risk, right? If you don't know
if
the
you don't get
reference,
it, then
you know the
you'll like
joke.
think something
Then,
different.
then you're just thinking like, "What? That's so sad. Why did that happen?"
Yeah, why? Yeah.
It's later in the album, right? So it just kind of breezes by in the middle of some longer tracks, and like, yeah, you're like you can't like grasp it on the first couple listens.
Mhm.
Um, Honestly, I think it just makes it hit harder once you do get
Yeah,
into
know
it.
about it. Yeah. Um. Yeah.
They have fun. We have fun here.
Yeah. They really do have fun, and we talked about that, right? Like we need artists like the Fiery Furnaces and Deerhoof to like,
Yeah,
you know,
just get silly with it.
mm-hmm.
Just make sure like when you're creating art is big and important, yes, and you can say some really big stuff, but also just make sure you are like enjoying it. Like this, like it's no one's forcing you to do it, and like there's something to be said of like, oh, I just really need to get this feeling out of me. Lord knows I've struggled with that
Yeah,
making stuff, but I think you have to prioritize literally just having a good time and express and making something that you are excited about,
yeah,
or else it's gonna be hard to keep going.
like, cause like the jokes you were talking about like in this album, like, and then in Blown Speakers they were talking about Radiohead jokes, right? Like, so like it it seems like whenever like Radiohead like makes a joke, it's always like in a um like a very like there's always something serious about it, like.
Yeah, they're very dour.
Yeah,
They're
and we
like
already talked about that a little bit. Like,
it's like Tom York makes a joke and he's like, "Huh, isn't that funny?" Because in
yeah.
reality, it's actually very sad.
Yeah.
I say this as a huge Radiohead stan. Like,
No, I
that was
love
my
Radiohead.
favorite band all through middle school and high school. Um,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, very different senses of humor. I think Tom York's coming around though because he did make that remix of Creep a couple years ago where he
Mm.
just slowed it down by like 25%.
Isn't that like a trend now?
There is,
Like,
I think it might have literally been like a TikTok like inspired meme
to
kind of
like make
thing.
things like
There is
reverberated and slowed down.
yeah, just slow reverb version. He literally did that with like an old acoustic version of Creep that was like a B-side back in like the Ben's like early 90s era, and all he did was just like Paul stretch it and just make it like 7 minutes long, changed nothing else,
It's
and then
funny.
put it out and called it the Creep acoustic Tom York 2021 very 2021 mix.
Mm.
And then that came out that year.
That's
I
a
still think about that. So like now that they're older and like are just kind of doing whatever they want, like they've chilled out a little bit and can make more of a silly joke. But
Mhm.
yeah, when they're still making stuff, right, a lot of other bands are still just taking themselves very seriously. And if they're laughing, they're like, "Huh, it's so funny." But is it?
Yeah, like that, and that like goes into like the post rock stuff. Like, some of like the like spoken word like pieces like they bring out, like some of them are like funny, but like it's always like, yeah, in that way, like there's something like sad about that. Like it shows how the world is like
Right.
this way.
It's like ultimately a negative view.
Hmm.
They make like darkly comic, sarcastic remarks on the way, but like the overall vibe is that like this oppressive, like darkness kind of thing. Whereas Fiery Furnaces and Deerhoof, even when they're talking about like dark stuff, like when on more recent Deerhoof records, when they're getting more directly political and just like about the collapse of human civilization and stuff, they still have enough time to like still be enthusiastic and optimistic just about like making things and putting them out there.
Hmm. And yeah, it. um. Yeah, I.
You got you got any other favorite happy songs, sad lyrics kind of bands?
Happy songs, sad lyrics. I mean,
It's a popular trend.
yeah, we already, so like Deer and Fire Prince, like also like Tune Yards too. We kind of like touched on
Yeah.
them, like Who Kill. Like there's always like,
Oh, nice.
yeah, like
You see, you got more than one CD.
yeah, like Meryl like always like is like commenting on something, but it's always in like in a fun way. Like she always, I'm not sure, like I don't know, like the music she makes is like really fun with like the
Yeah.
commentary on that, you know what I mean? Like,
She always does have like a political statement to make, but is also gonna have the song filled with a lot of like whoop whoop and clapping and stuff because it's fun.
yeah,
It's just fun to make music like that.
yeah, that's a yeah. Tune Yards is a, yeah. lot of stuff to talk about on that one.
Yeah. I love every time we do one of these. We get like at least 3 or 4 other ideas for episodes.
Yeah.
There's so many albums, there's so many records, and they're all good.
Yeah. Speaking of episodes, though, I do have some like stuff planned out. I got some friends together, and we'll be like making some like stuff that I don't know about or I'm not too familiar with, like punk. We're gonna talk about punk, some Weezer,
Nice.
a little bit. I'm more familiar with Weezer, but Weezer is good. So yeah, and I'm not too familiar on what the lore is on that. And then Cowards at the end of all that. Those are the planned episodes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not the only one who's got things to say about songs.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Just it's hard to get like people to get on, and I'm happy that you're the one that stuck around to do another one.
I'll always talk for an hour or two about a record I like. I'm always down.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening to us for a bit. If you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are listening. Some of my friends are probably listening right now. So yeah, and yeah, do you want to play the last song?
Yeah, let's go for it. I think this is another. I will say it's a punchline song.
Yeah,
but I feel like this is like kind of one of the best encapsulates the Fiery Furnaces experience.
Do you want to talk about a little bit or at the end?
No. I think this is a song that speaks for itself.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. There's an obvious like thing at the end that will yeah. And this is also a homemade.
My dog was lost.
Oh.
But now he's found. Oh yeah. You said this is like a fan made video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
All right.
My dog.
Oh wait.
I was mean to him before.
Here, I'll play the video.
I guess that's why he walked out my door. I really wish I could see him some more. I looked into the mats and I asked all the cats. I went to the vet, have you heard anything yet? My dog was lost, but now he's found. My dog was lost, but now he's found. I went to the bar and they said not so far. I went to the gym, have you taken a walk with him? My dog was lost, but now he's found. My dog was lost, but now he's found. I went to the run and they were having too much fun. I put up a flyer and gossiped the town crying. My dog was lost, but now he's found. My dog was lost, but now he's found. I stood on the corner, called the corner. I emailed the station and told them my location. My dog was lost, but now he's found. My dog was lost, but now he's found. Cause I thought I might see you. I went to the Super K. Have you seen any recent stuff? My dog was lost, but now he's found. My dog was lost, but now he's found. Down to the market where title he used to bark here. One way you got adopted, felt so bad that he dropped dead. My dog was lost, but now he's found. My dog was lost, but now he's found. Guest preacher said I bark, but I don't bite. I saw my dog, but he'd seen the light. My dog was lost, but now he's found.
Oh, that was delightful. That was a great video.
Yeah, yeah. You guys couldn't see the reactions, but it was really, it's funny. Really on the nose. Like it goes.
Yeah.
Every-
I love. Yeah. It's just a very literal story. So they were able to just adapt it really literally.
Mhm,
But like,
yeah.
it's so 2005. I mean that guy at the Super K that she gave a
Yeah,
to,
the haircut.
swept blonde hair. That was incredible.
Very, yeah. I actually haven't watched it, but I just saw it, so I thought it would be funny to show.
That is, I love that. And like it's such like a fun like literal take on the song that it almost kind of distracts from like how much stuff is going on music like instrumentally.
Yeah.
Like because it starts with this like kind of like familiar, straightforward kind of jaunty little piano ditty. But then like the guitars start coming in and then they're like just squealing all over the place and then it slows down. Like they can't stay in one place musically for very long. Like they gotta just keep moving around the chords.
Very, yeah. Like scatterbrained almost, like. Yeah.
Which actually does a great job to depict running around all over town, to different places looking for your dog. So everything's a little bit different. That's band's good.
Yeah.
Good band.
Yeah, and I think that is the end of this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and if you want to like explore the band, maybe check out Widow City, a little bit prog rock inspired, maybe. Like if you really like enjoy the experimental parts, rehearsing my choir or Bitter Tea, obviously. And yeah, that's sort of it for me. Anything
Stay up
else?
on Ferrari Furnaces. They're still around.
Yeah,
They
play
attempted
some
to come
shows.
back, but it was COVID. So I think they're gonna be doing something soon.
Yeah, not yeah. You're back now. Hopefully.
Sorry, I remembered why I stopped using this laptop. It's because of that.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. No worries.
Sorry.
Wait. So what were you saying?
Yeah. Listen to weird music. It's good for you.
Yeah. And listen to entry point albums too. Stuff that like
Right.
that will get you further.
Yeah.
Go
Fill
further.
fill the gaps in your musical knowledge. You'll whole new worlds will open to you.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you for the next episode, which will be, I don't know, maybe next week. Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah. See you guys. And I'm ending it now.